Hey folks, Brian Blessing in Las Vegas, VegasInsider.com. Opening line report for Week 10. Full disclosure, taping this at halftime of the Sunday night game with New Orleans up 31-0 over Tampa Bay. Like my chances to not have to do the video over. By the way, chilly here in Vegas. Colder in Vegas than it was in Buffalo for the Seahawks game. The world's spinning backwards. But let's get going. Our opening line report. Teams on a bye: Atlanta, Dallas, Kansas City, and the Jets this week. Thursday night football, Indy's at Tennessee. Tennessee advanced line was 2 before the games were played. It's up to 2.5, totals 49.5. Ugly, but Tennessee beats the Bears. Indy hung in there with Baltimore Ravens, get them in the second half. I think 3 actually pops up, totals 49.5. Houston is at Cleveland. Houston, squirrely game against Jacksonville. Now they got to go to Cleveland. And Cleveland's laying 2.5, totals 54. Baker Mayfield put on the COVID injured reserve list in close contact with someone who tested positive. But if he tests negative, he'll be allowed back on the practice field by Wednesday. So we think everything should be good there. And I do think 3 will pop up in that spot. Detroit laying 4 to Washington. Detroit beat up pretty good, by the Minnesota Vikings. And Washington, hard-fought game. Alex Smith, nice story, did a lot of good things. Couldn't stage the big final comeback in the near loss to the Giants. But this is a Redskin team that really does compete hard. Jacksonville's at Green Bay. Green Bay 13.5, totals 53. The Jake Luton era begins, I guess, with Jacksonville. Green Bay extra time to prepare off the beatdown of San Francisco, who was mercilessly sent out there with basically nobody on the team. And Green Bay took full advantage, and they get extra time to prepare. 14 will pop up here. Philly, advanced line was 3.5 at the Giants. Numbers down to 3, totals 42.5. Giants get the win against the Redskins. And Daniel Jones, you think about it, they could have beat Tampa Bay the game before. Maybe that was a tipping point of what was going on with Tampa Bay here, the way New Orleans is taking them to the woodshed. But I think this game sits on 3. Total on the game is 42.5. But you do get the Eagles off a bye. Carson Wentz been holding onto the football too long. They definitely want to get Sanders back in the lineup for the Eagles. Tampa Bay was 6, an advanced number. It's down to 4.5. The way this thing's going, I think it shows up at 4. Even with Antonio Brown showing up and all the weapons Tampa Bay has, everybody's entitled to a bad night. But this was ridiculous for Tampa Bay. And Carolina, with Teddy Bridgewater getting McCaffrey back, gave Kansas City all they could handle. I think that number is at least going to come down to 4. Let's go to the Denver game here in Las Vegas. Las Vegas advanced number was 4. It's up to 4.5. Total on the game is 50.5. Denver comes up short against Atlanta. They just can't get the ball going on the ground. Neither Lindsey or Melvin Gordon just doing much of anything. Locke is pretty inconsistent. Runs around and makes plays, but usually it's when the game's already been decided. Although they did get the last-second win against the Chargers the week prior. Totals 50.5. How about the drama? Raiders on the last play think they lose. Then it's reviewed. It's incomplete, and they win. Hard to trust either team here. But that total of 50.5 is pretty interesting with this Denver offense that can be sketchy at times. But, of course, indoors at Allegiant Stadium, fast track. The Chargers at Miami. Miami advanced line was 1.5. It's up to 2.5. Total is 50. And I got to tell you, couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, Arizona, first of all, hands them a touchdown. Murray fumbles right out of the gate. Then Arizona's ahead, but Miami, to their credit, fight back. They get the win. A 49-yard field goal, by the way, was short. That would have tied the game for Arizona. But Miami keeps pace with the Bills, and they have an easier schedule than Buffalo down the stretch. Maybe that game later in the year between the Bills and the Dolphins means something. But, hey, Tua Tagovailoa goes on the road, gets a win. Dolphins are feeling their oats right now. And the Chargers, how many painful ways can they find to lose? The Herbert kid, though, is doing great work. The total of 50, I'm thinking it might go up a little bit, maybe a point. Let's go to the Buffalo, Arizona. Don't worry about this one. This one's going up. The advanced line was Arizona 2.5. It's down to 1. The total's 54.5. That will go up. We were dead on about the total in the Bills-Seattle game. They said that it would be a track meet with the nice weather. The Bills, Josh Allen throws for 406 yards. They spread it around. Moss can punch it in the end zone now. And although they've never had really good success at Arizona, Budda Baker could be a midful here. But Josh Allen and Kyler Murray running around making plays. This game's a track meet. Although the Bills through and through, they may want to get the running game going against Arizona. But if Miami can put up all those points against Arizona, what do you think the Bills are going to do? Seattle at the Rams. Rams 2, totals 55.5. Russell Wilson, Seahawks. He was up against it. Wilson did not have his best game. Had 4 turnovers, but he was pounded in this game. By the way, A.J. Klein must have hit him, with big shots at least 3 times in that Bills game, forced a fumble on the one occasion. Seattle's defense is a nightmare. They can't stop anybody. So, what do we do with San Francisco? Who's going to be in? Who's healthy? Do they get any help back at the skill position here? I would look for a bounce back effort. We're talking about the Rams here. The Rams laying the 2. Goff, inconsistent, up and down, hot and cold. But indoors, that's another game that could have track meet written all over it. Now I get to San Francisco. Sorry about that. And San Francisco, who's going to be in? We got to keep really close attention on this. New Orleans, 6.5 was the line put up before the Sunday night game. It's going to be 7. There's no doubt about that. And again, the total, it may take a while to figure out a total here because we just don't know who's going to be in the lineup for San Francisco. Cincy's at Pittsburgh 10. That number's down to 9.5 after Pittsburgh hangs on for dear life, finds a way to beat the Cowboys. Not easy to win in the NFL. I don't care who you're playing. They remain unbeaten, and you get everybody's best shot when you're an unbeaten team. It's down to 9.5. Total's 47.5. Bengals coming off a bye. Burrow and company, they've been fun to watch. They've been competitive. That's a lot of points. And don't forget, Roethlisberger got banged up in the game against the Cowboys. He finished with that knee. We're going to keep a close eye on that. Sunday Night Football, Baltimore laying 6.5 at New England. These used to be great games with playoff implications when they go to Foxborough. Not the case, of course, with the Patriots. We'll see what they do on Monday night against the Jets. But Baltimore, 6.5-point favorites, is still trying to find their groove. Baltimore's not this monster force, but they're capable of being that. And again, New England plays the Jets on Monday Night Football. They get the short work week. I think you may see 7 here, even if New England hammers the Jets, it stays 6.5. If it's a close, hard-fought game against the Jets, that number will be 7. Total in the game, only 41.5. Weather this time of year now is beautiful this weekend, which usually means in the Northeast that the bomb is coming behind it. And then Monday Night Football, Minnesota's at Chicago. This is the big mover. Chicago advanced line was a 2-point favorite. It swung all the way to Minnesota minus 2.5, total 44.5. We know the Bears' offense is pretty inconsistent, runs hot and cold. Their defense with the bend but don't break. But Minnesota now, Cook is just a touchdown machine. And Minnesota's, running the ball with authority, which sets up the play-action pass for Cousins. Going outdoors, though, on the grass against a good defense, the total on the game is 44.5. I don't know that this game gets to 3. It could, but if it does, it'll disappear quickly. What is disappearing is this season. As we're already into the second half now, there you have it. It's the Week 10 opening line report. Love doing this for you. Try to get you the best of the number because over the course of the long haul it makes a difference. It's not always who you bet. Sometimes it's when you bet them. In Las Vegas for VegasInsider.com, I'm Brian Blessing.